What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I'm just enjoying my Friday evening. I got my steps in. I've got all tasks that were necessary to complete done. I'm just enjoying a Friday evening in the Motor City. But let's get into the topic at hand. It's Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. And I say doctor, with air quotes because I don't really know. Now, I wasn't challenging her credentials. People were saying she's not really a real doctor. I'm still not really challenging her credentials. I'm just more in I don't really care either way at this point. But she's being criticized right now because she was doing some messy stuff. I mean, she does messy stuff already. She be out there really thotting it up. And y'all already know how I feel about sisters and presenting a professional, polished image. I don't like to get on social media and, just being overly sexual, because I think that you don't have to do that. You really don't have to do that. Who are you doing that for? You talking about you single and you can't find a man and you can't get married, you still waiting on that guy to come find you or whatever. They not gonna do that when they see you out there moving like that. I mean, you too old. You a woman that's in her 40s, mid 40s, and you still online twerking and stuff like you in your 20s. I mean, that's just not really the type of chick that dudes that's looking for a wife is gonna be checking for. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But that's neither here nor there. She was on a show recently and she was, just talking, and she decided that she would try to use Offset for clout. She brought up the fact that Offset slid in her DMs. Now, she threw that out there that he slid in her DMs, and she just left it like that at first, and she knew what would be assumed based on her framing it like that. Then she changed it up and was like, well, he slid in there for therapy. Okay. Why would you expose that? It'd have been one thing if he slid into your DMs on some slick stuff. I don't think you should expose that, but I could kind of understand that. But you talking about he slid into your DMs on, he was looking for therapy, and the DMs were shown. So he really did say, can we have a convo professionally? And she like, absolutely. So the thing is that men don't really like to open up and talk about their feelings. We don't. We're not trained to be that way. And regardless of the fact that how many women say we should open up and whatnot, this is why we don't. Here you have a man that's going through whatever it is with his wife. People could say, oh, he might have been on some slick stuff when he was sliding into her DMs. I honestly don't think so, because quite frankly, he can get better than Cheyenne Bryant. I'm not saying she's an ugly woman. She's an attractive woman, but he can still get better than her. So I really don't think that he would slide into her inbox on some slick stuff, especially seeing how messy she is. But with that being the case, I still don't believe that he was going to take him reaching out and try to turn it into clout chasing. So she's being criticized, surprisingly, mostly by women. I mean, there's some men that's, critical of her, but not as much as the women, because men, we already used to this. We already know that opening up to a woman in any capacity is just not it. You don't open up to a woman. You certainly don't open up to a woman with a damn platform, man. If you're a man of some sort of prominence, as he is, you gonna become content. He made a comment when he saw it. He just said clout, SMH. People are being critical, saying that a real doctor never would have did that. And where it was always before kind of just light speculation, whether she was a doctor or not, the speculation of that has become more intense after this, because that is true. You supposed to be a therapist. You're not supposed to be revealing that people reached out to you for therapy. Why would you do that? You know, I seen this one therapist say that they do not divulge whether you're seeing them or not. If they were to see you out there in public, they would speak to you and stuff like they know you, but would never mention the capacity that they know you. Now, if you want to share that, that's on you. Be their guest, but they're not going to put you out there that. And I have seen several other therapists chime in on this, and pretty much all of them were appalled by the fact that this so-called therapist and life coach, rather, would expose somebody who was reaching out to her for therapy, because she said this out of her own mouth. He slid into her DMs, let that marinate, because she knew that would be clippable, and then added more context and was like, it was for therapy. So why you doing that? You know, again, this is why men have such a hard time opening up. And this is why men have such a hard time looking for just advice or anything. I think Offset's biggest mistake was reaching out to a woman for therapy to begin with. I don't believe that a woman has any business trying to give a man any type of life coaching. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're giving him advice based off of your very skewed logic and reasoning of what men are supposed to be. It's through the lens of a woman, so it's not really useful. You need to talk to a man, a cousin, an uncle, your father, your grandfather if they're around. You know, you don't go to women trauma dumping ever. So in my opinion, that was mistake number one, of reaching out to a woman, and reaching out to a woman that's thirsty for clout and with a platform. That was a huge mistake, because I mean, he really don't look stupid, but he now attached to something messy that otherwise he wouldn't be involved in had he not have reached out to her. So she hasn't really said anything. She hasn't, to my understanding, as of recording this video, I haven't seen anything floating around of her, you know, basically acknowledging that what she did was messy and she shouldn't have brought that up. It's like, man, these bras cannot wait to tell your damn business. It's just like Just Hilarious the other day, how she was talking about when she was at Shaq house and she saw 4 white women there and all that. Why are you telling this man's business? Like, really, they cannot wait to get out there and turn your business into content. So I made a video about this last summer, and I reiterate, stop opening up to women when it comes to your problems as a man. Do not do it. Talk to any man you know. Never, ever, ever open up to women. You don't. They do not respect it. It doesn't matter if the woman even begs you, open up, talk to me. Save her from herself, because if you're in a relationship with this woman and you do that, she's gonna lose attraction for you, period. I've seen it happen time and time again. It's stuff that I know, and I'm not gonna share it because it's other people's business. It's not my business to tell, but I've just seen people make this mistake in my own personal life, and this is why I tell y'all, keep your mouth shut. You have to maintain the image of being strong and capable, and you can't do that by trauma dumping on a woman. Offset should not have reached out to this woman for any reason. She messy as all get out. And where before I really didn't care one way or another if she was a doctor or not, I really am leaning towards the fact that she's not a doctor anymore, because I've just never seen anything like that before. I've never seen a doctor run to the internet to tell about what celebrities reached out to them for therapy. That's crazy, man. I'm gonna leave it there though, y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll holler at y'all soon. Peace.